Hello guys and gals, and welcome. So today we got some information for Diablo 2 Resurrected Season 9, and we also have information for Path of Exile preseason, Path of Exile 2 preseason, which I am interested in checking out, and unfortunately they are at the same time, which is rather poor timing to say the least. We also got some patch notes for Diablo 2 Resurrected, and it's actually two very interesting patches. Even though it's only two notes, when it says patch notes, they weren't kidding. You know, patch notes plural, as in two or greater. But this is, in this case, just two. So Diablo 2 Resurrected Ladder Season 9 is going to be coming on December 6th. Depending on where you are, it might be a little bit later than December 6th. So there is a couple people like in like South Korea and like Japan and stuff like that. It should be the 7th for. There is some times down here, but we'll go over those in a second. First off, let's cover the massive, most ridiculous patch notes on Diablo 2 Resurrected. So we've got patch 2.8.0. Magical. So we get this patch apparently on December 3rd. So we're going to have this 3 days before the season goes live. So you're going to be able to test this stuff out. I'll probably hop on and check this stuff out at least. The first one is a gameplay bug, which has actually been in the game for a long time. And I had to actually dig through some archives to come up with some information on this to explain to you exactly what interaction is happening. And I'll try to explain it. So it says, fixed a bug that occurs when a monster and a player or a mercenary have the same level of aura. So this is not referring to a interaction between the player and the mercenary. This is referring to an interaction between the monster and the player, or the mercenary and the monster, which is usually very specific to offensive auras. And there is one offensive aura in particular that is usually the cause of this, and it is the conviction aura. And I'm going to bring up a very old post from 2008, which has to do with this. As you can see here by Onder Duker back in September 15th, 2008. It says, when a paladin applies a lower conviction, it won't overwrite the unique's higher level conviction, but the paladin's defense and elemental resistances are reduced, but not the unique monsters. When the unique applies a lower level conviction, it will not overwrite the paladin's higher level conviction, and the unique's defense and resistances are reduced, but not the paladin's. If the paladin stops applying conviction, the unique's defense and resistances are restored, and its conviction will then be applied to the paladin, reducing his defense and resistances. However, when the conviction levels are equal, and this is, I think, what the bug is actually applying to, when the conviction levels are equal, the unique's defense and resistances are always reduced and will remain reduced even when the paladin stops applying conviction. However, if he does so, the unique's conviction will now apply to him, reducing his defenses and resistances as well. So basically what this does is it actually applies the full effect of conviction to both players. Now, in most cases, that's not what happens. So if you have a paladin who's applying a higher level conviction to the unique monster, then the difference actually applies. And the paladin actually ends up applying a lower level conviction to the monster. For instance, in the case of Mephisto, if Mephisto has a level 20 conviction aura and the paladin has a level 25, then what happens is the Mephisto then has a level 5 conviction aura applied to him because it subtracts the 20 from yours and applies the difference. However, in the case of the two auras being identical, it actually matters about who applied the aura first to the other player. And this is actually in the Amazon Basin. If you pull up Amazon Basin and you actually look at this, let me pull this up real quick. So Amazon Basin conviction. So on the Amazon Basin conviction page, you will see that it says, despite what the character screen displays, the higher level conviction will only prevent a hostile lower level being applied if the higher level is active before it is applied, and equal level never presents hostile conviction being applied. So there's almost like a special rule here that states that the higher level conviction has to be applied first to essentially cancel out conviction. And this is, of course, because conviction has pulses. And the pulses are essentially on a frequency, right? And so if your conviction is first and you pulse yours first, then you will apply your conviction first, and then they go to apply theirs and it will fail. However, if for some reason or another your conviction pulses after the enemy's, for instance, the enemy pulses theirs first and then yours pulses, you actually get it applied to you as well. And this is the second line here, which is, however, if he does so, the unique's conviction will now also apply to him, reducing his resistances as well. Now, it specifically states that this actually applies the full force of the conviction aura. And this is something that's been noted by several streamers, as well as all the community in large, is that this is something that's very rare, because you have to have the same level aura as the monster that is applying the conviction aura. As an example, when it comes to Infinity, Infinity is not level 20, so Infinity would not cause this to happen with Mephisto because his is level 20. Paladins usually have theirs at level 25. So again, this usually doesn't occur with Paladins because Paladins are usually running a much higher level conviction aura than level 20. In fact, this usually only happens with random monsters as you're running around the world. Because what happens is the random monsters have a variable level of conviction. And if you are running Infinity, or if you are running your own personal conviction on a Paladin, there are opportunities where the two auras can be the exact same and cause this very odd interaction, which basically makes it so that both the Paladin and the monster have the full conviction applied to both of them, and it does not come off. Now, this is the real kicker to this particular interaction, is that once the conviction aura is removed, so as you can see here, it says if the paladin stops applying conviction, then the unique's defenses and resistances are restored. However, in this particular case, if he does so, the unique's conviction will now apply to him, reducing his defenses as well. And what this means is that both players, both entities, the player and the monster, both have their resistances reduced, and it becomes permanent until the character logs out and logs into a new game. Having your defense and resistances essentially permanently reduced is obviously a very bad bug, and that's good that they're fixing it. I'm unsure if this has any other connotations besides the conviction aura, but it is a bug that's been in the game for a long time, although it may be one that you've never encountered, because you do have to have an identical level aura to the monster for this to occur. And it doesn't really happen very often on the paladin, but it does happen occasionally with the infinity weapon on random monsters that have conviction aura as you're running around the arena. But the thing is that if you're using infinity on the on your mercenary, then the conviction is then going to apply to the mercenary in this fashion, and you should not be getting the full force of the bug, essentially, because the mercenary's conviction is not applying to you. And so there's no interaction on the player. The only way that this bug could happen on the player is if the player is running the conviction aura, either by using the infinity themselves or also by having a native use conviction aura, and then that aura ends up being the same as another monster. Like, for instance, you would never want to go in and fight Mephisto with a level 20 conviction aura because, his aura is exactly the same and it would cause this bug. Theoretically, if they fixed it, then you could, of course, do that now and go in with a level 20 conviction aura and fight Mephisto, canceling out his entirely. It'd be interesting to test and see. Now, the next patch note of the 2 patch notes in this particular patch is move directions are now bindable. I'm not entirely sure what this means. Perhaps WASD controls, so WASD, or whatever you would prefer for your movement. I'm assuming that means that you can move your characters around with WASD now. I don't know. Maybe. So maybe we have keyboard and mouse and WASD controls at this particular point. It'll be interesting to find out. We can always test this on December 3rd when the patch goes live. Ladder Season 9, these are the actual times. So as you can see here, I said for some places it's on the 7th. So it is December 6th at 5 p.m. PST, and I do believe that's like 8 o'clock EST. Like if you just type in 5 p.m. PST to EST, yeah, so it's about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. And As you can see in Europe, it's going to be on the 7th around 2 a.m. CEST, and Asia 7 on the 7th at 10 a.m. KST. As always, ladder reset will, of course, shove all your current ladder equipment to the past ladder stash, which you're going to have to make sure you get rid of that in advance. You got plenty of days right now. It is only the 23rd, so many days to go through the process of like getting rid of and filtering down your equipment for the non-ladder if you want to. We also have Path of Exile coming out. So Path of Exile 2 is doing its early release. And I did check out the Path of Exile reveal yesterday. And I will say that I do think that it looks very good. I also, however, would strongly say that although it is advertised as a free-to-play game, I do not believe that it is a free-to-play game because it seems very obvious that to participate in endgame activities, collecting all of the associated materials, like the tablets, the gems, the skill things. There's so many various things that you have to collect in this game that you are going to have to probably pay money for this game, and that's usually going to be in the term in the form of stash tabs to actually store all of that stuff that you're going to need for endgame. Now, I would say that it's free to try. However, it's not free to try right now. It will be free to try eventually when they do the full release. This, however, is not the full release. So the full release of Path of Exile 2 has not been announced yet. They are doing an early access release, which is only going to be the first 3 acts of the game, and they're going to repeat the first 3 acts of the game in a harder difficulty until they can officially add the rest of the 3 acts. And then they are going to have an end game system in place, at least part of it, so that everybody has something to do once they complete the first 3 acts 2 times and eventually get into the game. Now, how do you get early access to the game? Well, there are currently 2 ways to get early access to the game. One is if you played Path of Exile 1. Now, I personally did not enjoy Path of Exile 1, so I never really did. But if you did play Path of Exile 1 for a particularly long period of time, and if you supported the game with a grand total of $480 of purchases, that is correct, $480 of purchases, you will get an early access key for free. This is essentially cumulative over the entire lifetime of Path of Exile 1, which I believe is, like 10 years or something like that. So the game has been out a long time, and as long as you've spent at least that much money in 10 years or 11 years or whatever, you get a key for free. Now, the other way that you can potentially get access to the game for the early access is to buy one of the supporter packs. The supporter packs also come with points, which you're going to need to purchase stash tabs to be able to participate in the end game anything. As you can see here, the cheapest pack is $30, and $30 is exactly how much it costs to get 300 gold coins. If you go up here to the top, you can see that it's 50 points for $5, 100 points for $10, right? So that means that $30 is 300 points. So they're giving you the exact amount of points that you're spending on the pack, which you can then take over to the stash tabs, and you can purchase some of the stash tabs that you need. They also have some higher packs, like for instance, they've got the $60 pack, which comes with a large amount of cosmetics as well as a little pet, and some other various interesting things like this baby bellbird monster. They have even more expensive packs, like $100 for the Kingdom of Faradin supporter, which comes with a lot more. And then eventually they also have some ridiculously expensive packs, like the $160 pack that even comes with a t-shirt, which you do have to pay shipping for, apparently, which seems rather ridiculous for a pack that's $160. And in fact, it continues from there. So for $240, you get even more. And they do have some videos on these. And this one comes with a hoodie, which again you also have to pay shipping for. Now they did say that you can exchange the physical items for points if you want to. So for instance, it says optional 660 points instead of the physical items, but that's up to you. And then there is this absolutely ridiculous pack that comes with the shirt, the hoodie, and the book, all of which again you still have to pay shipping for. And it also comes with something that seemed a little bit like pay to win. I know I'm going to get flack for this, but there was basically this thing that they explained in the reveal, that essentially there was going to be a room that you could go into and you could donate unwanted uniques to this room. And every day the room would like pop up with a free unique for you. Apparently also giving you like foil uniques or something like that. And it kind of seemed like the closest thing to pay to win I've heard of about Path of Exile. And maybe I misunderstood, but it definitely seemed like you were getting a free unique basically every single day, just for participating in the event or the thing. I can't remember the exact name that they called it. Let me see if I can figure this out on the list, because there's so many various things on here that comes with this ridiculously high-priced pack, which you also have to pay shipping for and probably taxes too. In fact, it's probably something along the lines of like more like $600 once you finish paying your shipping and your taxes, which is kind of crazy. What did they call it? It was a very specific thing. Was it the Twilight Order Reliquary Submission? Let's take a look real quick, shall we? From PoE Shop, shortly after the Path of Exile 2 early access release, a new type of reliquary key will begin dropping throughout Path of Exile 2. As a Liberator of Railcraft supporter, you'll be able to select any unique item you have found to drop from the reliquary and write a message to display when another player opens the chest containing the item. You must have the unique item within your inventory or stash in order to nominate it. My question is, which unique do I choose? So maybe I misunderstood, and it sounds like you have to have the unique in your inventory to add into it, and then you basically sign these uniques that are then found by other players, creating what is called like a foil unique. I guess maybe I misunderstood. Um, which is fine. I just wanted to like clarify this thing seemed kind of crazy. Although I'm pretty sure that they said that you would get like one unique every single day from this particular chest. So I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's just something that you have to participate in. So you always have to put one in to get one out, in which case I guess it really doesn't matter. If you purchase any of these packs, doesn't matter which one you purchase, you will get access to the game on early access on December 6th. So that is that. You're probably going to want to take these 300 points, and you're probably going to want to take these and actually go over to the stash tabs and purchase yourself some stash tabs, because quite honestly, I don't think you're going to be able to really play this game without a significant amount of stash tabs to order all of the craziness that they have for you. Now, if you have purchased stash tabs in the future, from what I understand, or in the past, from what I understand, they are going to carry over to Path of Exile. I did research this, and if you type in just something as simple as do purchases to PoE2. So will microtransactions transfer over to PoE2? And it says, yes, all microtransactions transfer over. Initially, PoE2 is the same game as PoE1, and then they decided to split it due to complexity, so microtransactions in your account will be shared across the two games. So I'm assuming this means that any cosmetics that you've purchased and any stash tabs that you've purchased, like that are, not items, obviously, items are not going to transfer over, but your stash tabs will. But for those of us who may be starting from scratch and don't have any stash tabs, you're probably going to want to take some of that 300 and purchase stash tabs like right off the bat. There are some pretty neat ones in here, like the unique collection tab, which is really interesting. There is also the currency tab, which is obviously going to be very useful as well. And obviously some very nice additional like bundles. From what everyone tells me who's been playing PoE for a while, like I said, I never really got into it, even though I tried to play it 4 times. 4 separate times I tried to play PoE. It just never really stuck with me. I'm hoping that PoE2 is different. In the same way that I really didn't like Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 surprised me, and I actually really enjoyed Diablo 4. I'm hoping for a similar situation, whereas I didn't really like Path of Exile 1, and I'm hoping PoE2 surprises me. But if you do end up playing the game anew for the first time, you're going to need some of these stash tabs. And there are some sales that go on, apparently, on a regular basis. And everybody who has played Path of Exile for a while says that if you wait for the sales, you can usually pick up a rather large number of tabs at a very low discount. So it's really just a matter of holding on to your, coins until you see a nice sale, which shouldn't really take that long. I'm assuming they'll probably put one out eventually, probably for the holidays, which is coming up very fast. I think that's pretty much it for announcements. Path of Exile 2 does look very interesting. My personal impressions of what I saw of the game, I was actually really excited. The monk class looks really good. That might be my starter. It actually looked surprisingly fun. I will say that the game looks no less complicated than Path of Exile 2 and or Path of Exile 1, and it seems like they haven't really done much in the way of, like fixing that infinite complexity. Or beguiling it in any way so that players feel less overwhelmed. In fact, during the reveal, the Path of Exile 2 developer literally said, I know that the passive tree looks intimidating, a little intimidating, and I was like, a little? A little intimidating, huh? I'm pretty sure that some people just open it up and nope right out, which is, that's actually what happened to me the first time I played Path of Exile. So the first time I played, full admission, the first time I played for quite some time, and I pulled up this giant, ridiculous passive tree, and I remember thinking to myself, I really don't want to learn this. And I remember I closed the game and I moved on. And it was a while before I came back and gave it another try. And I ended up giving it 3 more tries after that. But one of them was with my nephew. We played for a little while together, and I really didn't enjoy it then either. I think he went on to play it for a little while. But that's pretty much it. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals joining me. If you're in the kinship, be sure to sign up on the sheets to let me know which one you're going to be playing. Obviously, with both of them being on the same day, December 6th, that doesn't really, leave a lot of choice there. So you're either choosing to play Diablo 2 Resurrected Season 9 or to hop on and check out PoE 2. In fact, it's kind of nice to have a backup. So, like, if PoE2 launches a absolutely abysmal failure, kind of like how the dumpster fire of last Epoch's launch was, you'll always have Diablo 2 launch to fall back on and soothe your wounds with the sweet, sweet Diablo 2 soundtrack and classes. So, as always, be sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button, and keep watching.